Nothing Was the Same is the third studio album by Canadian recording artist Drake. The album was released on September 20, 2013 by Young Money Entertainment, Cash Money Records, and Republic Records. Work on the record began in 2012 and continued through 2013. As its executive producer, Drake enlisted collaborators including Chainz, Big Sean, Jay-Z, Jhené Aiko, and Sampha to appear as guest appearances on the album. The album's production was primarily handled by Noah 40 Shebib, and other OVO Sound producers. Boy Wonder, Mike Zombie, Majid Jordan, and 1985 among others such as Chili Gonzales, Detail, Wane, Hudson Mohawke, and Jake 1. Nothing Was the Same was supported by the 6 successful singles Started From the Bottom, Hold On, We're Going Home featuring Majid Jordan, All Me featuring Chainz and Big Sean, and Pound Cake featuring Jay-Z, The Language, and Too Much featuring Sampha. Wu-Tang Forever was also released prior to the album as a promotional single. Drake also toured with Future, Miguel and PartyNextDoor from October through December 2013, on the Would You Like a Tour? Concert tour. Upon its release, Nothing Was the Same was met with generally positive reviews from music critics, including a score of 79 at Metacritic based on 33 reviews. The album was also a commercial success, debuting at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 selling 658,000 copies in its first week of release. It became the 7th best-selling album of 2013 in the United States. It also debuted within the top 2 positions in Canada, Denmark, Australia, and the United Kingdom. As of April 13, 2014, the album sold 1,535,000 copies in the United States. Background: while touring the United Kingdom in support of Take Care during March 2012, Drake announced in an interview that he had begun work on his third studio album. In April 2012, Drake had stated that the album will have a different style and tempo than that of Take Care. This is due to his different mindset and his recent move to Los Angeles, California. He told GQ, "This is my fucking moment to say if I wanted to rap all the time, really rap, I would, but I also love to make music. I'll do this for you right now. But it's for me too. It's my story I'm trying to get back to the kid in the basement. To say what he has to say. And I'm trying to make it last." On February 10, 2013, the night Drake won a Grammy for Best Rap Album at the 55th Grammy Awards, he announced the title of his third album would be Nothing Was the Same. During an interview with Ryan Seacrest on the red carpet, Drake told E! "I think music, it's a process we all go through," he said. "It's an evolution. You're constantly figuring out what works for you." He explained the difference between Nothing Was the Same and Take Care to XXL saying, "Take Care was about connecting with my city and connecting with my past and sort of still feeling guilty that I am not in love with one of these girls that cared about me from back in the day. Now, I'm 26, I'm with my friends, I'm making jobs for people, I'm making memories for people that will last a lifetime. I don't need to be in love right now. I don't need these things that I maybe once thought that I needed to feel normal and feel righteous about myself. I think for the first time in an album I'm content not satisfied but proud of where I'm at as a person." Drake also said that Marvin Gaye's 1978 double album Here, My Dear had been a big influence on his current musical direction and he had been doing recording in Gaye's old studio Marvin's Room. He later told MTV, "This album is not some straight rap album, I'll never do a straight rap album. That's not how I came into the synth unregistered trademark is never what I'll do. I make songs for the people." He also spoke of Marvin Gaye again saying, "I have aspirations to be Marvin Gaye in the back of my head. So I just want to sing the world's triumphs and problems on one record." In the same interview he explained more about the differences between Nothing Was the Same and Take Care saying, "The music I'm making is more concise, more clear, I've been able to get my thoughts across a lot better on this album. Take Care is a great album but I listened to it and realized where I could do better and I think I've done better on this album." Recording and production. Drake confirmed that he had been in the studio with rapper 2 Chainz and producer Noah 40 Shebib in March 2012. He also stated that he was hoping to work with Jhené Aiko while in the United Kingdom, saying that he wants him to have a bigger presence on my third record. Jake One produced a song for Drake, originally expected to be released ahead of the third annual OVO Fest. A video of Drake previewing the untitled song while smoking a hookah was released on June 26, 2012 through Vimeo. In December 2012, Young Chop confirmed he was working on a song with Drake. He also worked on and released 2 free songs with singer-songwriter James Fauntleroy. Drake was seen in the studio with Jay-Z in early 2013 working on the song that would become Pound Cake. Then on June 3, 2013 he confirmed the first guest appearance on the album as singer Jhené Aiko and also said he had recently been in the studio with Anthony Hamilton. On June 15, 2013 Drake confirmed with Hot 107.9 that he was in the final recording process of the album. Then on September 3, 2013, Drake confirmed on Twitter that the album had been mixed and mastered. In July 2013, Complex reported that he had been in the studio with Future, Rick Ross, Justin Timberlake, Sard, Migos, Socrates, TLC, and Miguel working on the album. Producers Complex also reported he worked with during the recording process included Hit Boy, Just Blaze, Chili Gonzales, Michael Made It, Zaytoven, Bink, Detail, James Blake, Swizz Beatz and Timbaland. On July 27, 2013, Drake posted a picture of him and frequent collaborator The Weeknd in the studio. Drake told Rolling Stone in an August 2013 interview, that the album would contain features by Jay-Z and Lil Wayne, with production from Hudson Mohawke. In a story in the September issue of Rolling Stone he confirmed the album was primarily produced by Noah 40 Shebib, with production also coming from Hit Boy, Boy Wonder, Detail, and Hudson Mohawke. He also confirmed working with OVO Fest performer, singer and post-dubstep producer James Blake. The final track listing contained guest appearances by Jhené Aiko, Majid Jordan, Detail, Sampha, Jay-Z, Big Sean, and 2 Chainz. Album artwork. On August 21, 2013, Drake revealed the album's cover artwork was an oil painting by Southern California's Kadia Nelson, the designer behind Michael Jackson's posthumous album, Michael. The 2 versions of the cover feature illustrations of profiles of Drake as a child, while the other showed the rapper as an adult. His younger self is adorned only with an afro comb in his hair, and his older self has a gold chain. Both covers are set against a blissful blue sky. The cover artwork was compared to iconic hip-hop albums Nas Illmatic, The Notorious B.I.G.'s Ready to Die, and Lil Wayne's The Carter 3. What that album art is to me, is the fact that this is my most clear, concise thoughts from now, and my best recollection of then, Drake explained. Both covers will be available side by side in stores, so consumers may choose which one they want. The artist, Kadia Nelson told MTV, Drake wanted a signature painting, he didn't want something that looked like a hip-hop album cover. He wanted something that was a little bit more artsy and had more weight to it, so I did a number of sketches, and when we picked out what he liked, I sculpted it together. He said he listened to Drake's music in the studio to gain inspiration and he also gave Drake a full-sized painting of the album cover. The album artwork would end up being named the 4th best album cover of 2013 by Complex. XXL also listed it among the best album covers of 2013. Release. On June 22, 2013, Drake announced a release date of September 17, 2013 via Twitter. The following day he released the first trailer for the album, featuring him and his friends drinking alcohol out of his 2012 Grammy Award for Best Rap Album for his previous album Take Care. On August 21, 2013, the album was pushed back 1 week from its initial September 17, 2013. Release date until September 24, 2013. On September 10, 2013, Drake released the second trailer for the album, featuring Trophies, song produced by Hit Boy. In the video Drake and his entourage drive various luxury cars such as Bentley, Lamborghini and Bugattis, all sporting small Canadian flags while driving down an empty street. Promotion. In March 2013, Drake would premiere a song titled 5 a.m. in Toronto, a sequel to the Thank Me Later track 9 a.m. in Dallas. Later in the month he would film a music video for the song and it would be released on April 1, 2013. Drake also would release 2 more songs on April 15, 2013 titled No New Friends, a song that will be featured on DJ Khaled's Suffering from Success album, and Girls Love Bianca Copyright, which contains samples from Destiny's Child song Say My Name, and features James Fauntleroy too. On June 17, 2013, an unreleased track called On My Way, which was recorded in 2010, leaked which also featured Fauntleroy. On June 22, 2013, Drake released 4 songs for streaming via his official website. This included collaborations with J. Cole, PartyNextDoor, Migos and a song titled The Motion. It was confirmed that these songs were only released in promotion and will not make the album. However, The Motion would appear as a Best Buy bonus track on the album. Drake announced on June 18 that he would go on tour in support of Nothing Was the Same, starting September 25, 2013, in Portland, Oregon. The tour, titled Would You Like a Tour?, featured supporting acts by singers Future, Miguel and OVO Sound's PartyNextDoor. In the months leading up to the album's release, Drake was featured on the covers of various magazine covers such as Billboard, GQ and the 150th issue special of XXL. On September 20, 2013, Drake revealed he had to reschedule Would You Like a Tour? Due to an intense rehearsal schedule and technical production requirements that will be part of the show. The tour was rescheduled to begin on October 19, and the first leg ran until December 16, 2013. Singles. In January 2013, Drake was seen filming the music video for a new song titled Started From the Bottom that was being directed by Director X. Drake later announced that he would release the song as the first single from his 3rd studio album on the night of the 55th Annual Grammy Awards. The single premiered instead on February 1, 2013, and was released on iTunes 5 days later. On February 10, 2013, the music video for Started From the Bottom was released. The song charted in many countries, reaching a peak of number 6 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 and has been certified double platinum in the United States by the RIAA. On August 4, 2013, it was revealed that Drake would soon be releasing the 2nd official single titled, Hold On, We're Going Home. The song featuring Majid Jordan, with production by Noah 40 Shebib and 1985, and was released via iTunes on August 7, 2013. On August 12, 2013, the song was serviced to rhythmic contemporary and contemporary hit radio. On September 24, 2013, the music video was released for Hold On, We're Going Home. The song peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 8 on the Canadian Hot 100 respectively. Drake premiered a song from Nothing Was the Same titled All Me, via SoundCloud on August 1, 2013. The track featured rappers Chainz and Big Sean, and was produced by Wane. Then, on the album's US release date of September 24, 2013, Drake sent All Me to Urban Contemporary Radio as the 3rd official single. The song peaked at number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100 the week of the album's release. On September 12, 2013, Drake released the previously announced Wu-Tang Forever as the album's 2nd promotional single along with the pre-order of Nothing Was the Same on iTunes. The song is a reference to the Wu-Tang Clan and their critically acclaimed double album Wu-Tang Forever. The track also samples their song It's Yours. 2 days after the song's release, Wu-Tang Clan member You God told Vibe that Wu-Tang Clan members including himself and Method Man among others, had recorded the official remix to the track. Pound Cake/Paris Morton Music 2 Inches serves as the album's outro and consists of 2 songs, Pound Cake featuring a guest appearance by Jay-Z, and Paris Morton Music 2 a sequel to Paris Morton Music. Pound Cake features a significant sample of CREAM by Wu-Tang Clan, and was produced by frequent collaborator Boy Wonder. Pound Cake was serviced to radio in the United Kingdom on the week of September 30, 2013, as the album's fourth single, and was subsequently added to the BBC Radio 1 Extra playlist. The track peaked at number 65 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and at number 111 on the UK Singles Chart. The language was serviced to mainstream urban radio as the album's fifth single on October 29, 2013. It received many positive reviews, one coming from Nick Hitachi of Entertainment Weekly, which named the song, along with Hold On, We're Going Home, as one of the album's best songs. Erica Ramirez of Billboard also credited Drake with arrogantly reinstating his spot in the rap game with the song. Upon its release, the song was said to be addressed, and acting passively towards American rapper Kendrick Lamar as a diss record, but was later denied by Birdman, whom appeared to be seen on MTV prior to the album's release and said that it was not directed at Lamar. The song peaked at number 51 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and number 13 on the Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart. In the United Kingdom, Too Much impacted urban contemporary radio as the album's sixth overall single on October 31, 2013. On November 11, 2013, the music video was released for Worst Behavior. Worst Behavior was then serviced to urban contemporary radio in the United Kingdom as the album's seventh single on June 9, 2014. Commercial performance: Nothing Was the Same debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 chart, with first-week sales of 658,000. The album had the second highest first-week sales of any album in 2013, at the time of its release. It would also be the highest first-week sales for a hip-hop album since Lil Wayne's The Carter 4. In its second week the album sold 148,000 more copies. In its third week the album sold 83,000 more copies. In its fourth week the album continued to remain in the top 5 on the Billboard 200, selling 58,000 more copies. The album sold 1,344,000 copies in 2013 in the United States, making it the seventh best-selling album of the year. As of April 13, 2014, the album sold 1,535,000 copies in the United States. The album debuted at number 2 on the UK Albums Chart, selling 61,000 copies in its first week. It would be Drake's highest debut on the chart and was the fastest-selling hip-hop album of 2013 in the United Kingdom, at the time of its release. The album also debuted at number 1 on the main album charts in Canada and Denmark, along with peaking in the top 5 of the main album charts in Australia, New Zealand and Ireland. It sold 108,000 copies in Canada in 2013. Critical reception: Upon its release, Nothing Was the Same was met with generally positive reviews from contemporary music critics. At Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from mainstream critics, the album received an average score of 79, based on 33 reviews, indicating generally favorable reviews. Greg Kot of the Chicago Tribune said, Drake's increasing mastery of not just rhyme, but tone and inflection is readily apparent. Nick Hitachi of Entertainment Weekly gave the album an A, saying nothing was the same, bristles with epiphanies, absurdities, and plenty of bluster, but it's all fodder for a hyper-realistic portrait of Aubrey Drake Graham, not some coronation ceremony. Jason Green of Pitchfork Media said, Nothing Was the Same is Drake and 40's most audacious experiment yet in how far inward they can push their sound. A lot of the album sounds like a black hole of all 40's previous productions being sucked into the center. Song-to-song transitions, which have always been melty and blurry, are more notional than ever. Eric Deep of XXL gave the album an XL rating, saying it's apparent throughout the record that Drake thinks Nothing Was the Same is so good that none of his contemporaries can best him. Drake wants to hold the spot as an innovator, and his signature style is grasping onto newer territories every day, influencing artists in the rap world and beyond. Bryant Kitching of Consequence of Sound gave the album 4.5 stars out of 5, saying Nothing Was the Same wrestles Drake's successes with his ever-lingering insecurities, and like some of the best music, we can see ourselves in these songs. It's an exhilarating change of pace for the genre. Simon Vosek Levinson of Rolling Stone said, after a while, his confessions start to sound like sneaky boasts about all the beautiful hearts he's broken. And maybe he wants you to see that contradiction. After all, hiding his flaws has never been Drake's style. They're the whole point. Bonsu Thompson of Vibe gave the album a positive review, saying as a major label artist, Drake has yet to conceive a classic album. While Nothing Was the Same doesn't end that drought, its accomplishments may end up more pivotal. Hip-hop music hasn't been blurred and stretched this wide since Kanye unregistered trademark S808s and Heartbreak. David Amidon of Pop Matters gave the album a 7 out of 10, saying Nothing Was the Same could very easily grow up to be one of those albums deemed pretty good at the time, only to be recognized as Drake's most likable album years from now. Eliza Gardner of USA Today stated, on his latest album Canada's leading hip-hop export continues to juggle bravado with brooding, though he sounds more empowered in the latter. Tim Sendra of AllMusic said, Nothing Was the Same doesn't show large amounts of growth, but the small changes to the sound and the slightly wider net his lyrics cast make it worthwhile. Aaron Matthews of Exclaim stated, Nothing Was the Same is a challenging, uncompromised major label rap album with a handful of impeccable songs, weighed down slightly by the rapper's increasingly solipsistic viewpoint. Julia LeConte of Now stated, to say Nothing Was the Same might be a stretch, but certainly the record mines enough new sonic territory to make it Kanye-like in its evolution. Randall Roberts of the Los Angeles Times said, by the end, Nothing Was the Same overwhelms even by Drake's sci-fi standards, and confirms that just because they're well-marketed and Midwest palatable doesn't make Internal Diaries wholly compelling. Jesse Cataldo of Slant magazine gave the album 4 out of 5 stars, saying the album isn't perfect, but it draws energy from that imperfection, further establishing a persona driven by Drake's still developing conflict between assurance and hesitation. Evan Ratulewski of the AV Club gave the album a B+, saying if Nothing Was the Same doesn't resonate quite as consistently as Take Care, it's because Drake and his in-house collaborator Noah 40 Shebib sometimes seem content to revisit that album's sonic landscapes instead of carving out new ones. Accolades. Closing out the year, Nothing Was the Same was named to multiple Best Albums of the Year lists. XXL named it the Best Album of 2013. They commented saying, the OVO General is at his highest point of his career, perfecting his formula of singing and rapping that truly carries the album from start to finish. With 40 in his corner, the pair executed title levels of their dark, lush sound that became easily identifiable. The compelling cuts from Time, Too Much, Hold On, We're Going Home as well as obvious anthems like Started From the Bottom, and Worst Behavior display leaps of growth. Complex named it the second best album of 2013, stating, it was one of the most anticipated albums of the year, and one that actually lived up to the hype. Nothing Was the Same might not have had a legendary producer on hand to minimalize its sound, but it has minimized the discussion of who is the most popular rap star in the world right now. Nick Catucci of Entertainment Weekly also named it the second best album of 2013, saying, when he gets to flex in as on Worst Behavior, with its Rube Goldberg underpinnings. The MC smacked down the language. And the Hypnotic started from the bottom he's flawlessly confident. But his restless thoughts keep the elegant music here taut. It was ranked at number 14 on Rolling Stone's list of the 50 best albums of 2013. They commented saying, Drake is the people's rapper, a smart kid conflicted about his fame, heart, family, everything except his mic potency. But what makes his lonely fantastic voyage matter is its emotional weight, which gets crucial amplification from Noah 40 Shebib's Whirlpool beats. The Guardian placed it at number 31 on their list of the 40 best albums of 2013. Exclaim! Named it the third best hip-hop album of 2013. It was named the 9th best album of 2013 by Slant magazine. They commented saying, Drake, the Canadian master of confession rap, cuts the usual sharp lines, and his lamentations have never felt so knowing, nor more tuneful. He doesn't need a handful of guest MCs, and he doesn't want our sympathy of just the chance to give us mellow orgasms, which he does on nearly every track. It was ranked at number 19 on Consequence of Sound's list of the top 50 albums of 2013. Stereogum ranked it at number 28 on their list of the 50 best albums of the year. Spin positioned it at number 50 on their list. The album is a shortlisted nominee for the 2014 Polaris Music Prize. Track listing, notes: A. Signifies a co-producer, B. Signifies an additional producer. Wu-Tang Forever contains additional vocals from Jhené Aiko. Own It contains background vocals from PartyNextDoor. From Time contains background vocals from Travis Avery. Connect contains additional vocals from Sean Lawrence and Traytha Truth. The Language features an outro from Birdman. Come Through contains background vocals from PartyNextDoor. Sample credits: Tuscan Leather contains interpolations of Sirius, written by Warren McGlone and Lawrence Parker. Samples of I Have Nothing, written by David Foster and Linda Thompson, as performed by Whitney Houston. And samples from When Seasons Change by Curtis Mayfield. Started from the Bottom contains samples from the composition Amberson's Piano and Drones, written and performed by Bruno Sanfilippo. Wu-Tang Forever contains samples of It's Yachts, written by Dennis Coles, Robert Diggs, Lamont Hawkins, Jason Hunter, Corey Woods, Thor Balderson, Mats Bucklin and Jürgen Kojulich, as performed by Wu-Tang Clan. And samples of Lost Config, as performed by Zodiac Beats. Too Much contains samples of Too Much, written by Sampha and Emil Haney, as performed by Sampha. Pound Cake / Paris Morton Music 2 contains interpolations of CREAM, written by Dennis Coles, Robert Diggs, Gary Grice, Lamont Hawkins, Isaac Hayes, Jason Hunter, Russell Jones, David Porter, Clifford Smith and Corey Woods, as performed by Wu-Tang Clan. Samples of Don't Say a Word, written by Jim Elliott and Ellie Goulding, as performed by Ellie Goulding. And samples of Jimmy Smith Rap, as performed by Jimmy Smith. All Me contains samples of My Man, written by Albert Lucian Willie Mitz, Jacques Charles and Maurice Ivane, as performed by Abby Lincoln. Personnel, credits for Nothing Was the Same adapted from AllMusic. Charts, certifications, release history, references.